Hi, everybody. Welcome to my spiritual journey. I'm your host, Dave Thomas Rocker. And in case you haven't purchased it already, I have a book available on Amazon called My Spiritual Journey. There's a picture of the paperback version on the left, the front cover. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a really good book, I think, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. I talk about a lot of the things I talk about in my videos on this channel, and it's $30 paperback, 15 Kindle. So please buy it if you get a chance. Anyway, that's my plug. Today I'm going to talk about an important topic of dreams, and nobody really knows what dreams are. We know that we all dream. Some people think they don't dream, but actually that's false. Everybody dreams. Usually, you just don't remember your dreams. And there's something called there's a sleep cycle we all go through every night. Um, and I guess you start. Here's another picture of it. This is the hypnogram. This shows you the different stages of sleep you go through during the night. And I guess you start, let me go back again. You start with light sleep, I believe. That's most of the sleep cycle. Um, and then you go into, or maybe you start at N1. There's different stages. N1 is that's when you start falling asleep. You're sort of half asleep. And two is what's called light sleep. And three is deep sleep. And then the deepest sleep is what's known as REM, or that's an acronym for rapid eye movement. And that's when we dream. This is called vivid dreaming. So when we're dreaming, we're all in REM. And it's actually been scientifically verified that everybody goes into REM sleep. And I think, pretty much everybody assumes that when we're in REM, we're dreaming. So anyway, that's kind of the scientific, evidence that we all dream. And um, so, what are dreams? Well, nobody really knows, like I said. And by the way, I wanna clear up one more myth about dreaming. A lot of people say you don't dream in color. That's false. I have dreamt in color a couple times. I've had some very, very vivid dreams where I remember colors in the dream. I can think of a couple of those. Once when I was in high school, I dreamt I was in a high school dance and I saw, all the colored lights on the dance floor like I always did when I really went to the dances. And another time I dreamt, I don't know why I had this dream, but I dreamt that I was in a parking garage and I was looking at the color code for the floor, and the color code changed like three times. It went from like red to green to blue. I don't know what that was all about, but I remember having that dream too. So we do dream in color. And anyway, there's some famous dreams in literature. Joseph, I think from the Bible, that's one of the most famous stories about a dreamer. According to the Old Testament, the story of Joseph. Joseph, he's one of 12 brothers, all children of Jacob. And he would have these very vivid dreams that would prophecies basically. And I think the ancients actually believed that dreams were prophecies. And let me go back again. And I don't believe that myself, but according to the Bible, Joseph had some very vivid dreams where, first he was telling his brothers he had a dream about 11 stars and the sun and the moon in the sky, and I guess he was supposed to represent the sun, and his brothers were the 11 dimmer stars. It was a very narcissistic dream, obviously, but according to the Bible, it came true. He predicted he was gonna, rise above his brothers, and they tried to kill him for that, but they didn't succeed. And he does become Prince of Egypt, and they all go to him without even realizing it's him because they're all starving in Canaan and they need food. I think most of you know the story. It's a good story, I think, but I don't think it's true. I don't believe in the Bible, like I've said in other videos I've made. And so, anyway, ancient people believed that dreams were prophecies, and like I said, I don't. And, I thought I'd mention the Wizard of Oz. I don't know why. I mean, that's a very famous story. It was first written, I think, around the turn of the century. It was called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I forget the author, but then they made it into a very famous movie in the 1930s. It was one of the first big movies in color. I think everybody knows this movie, and I think everybody knows the story too. But the story is based on a dream that I guess um, what's her name, Dorothy had. She gets knocked in the head by a cyclone, and she goes into a dream, and the whole dream is about her adventures in Oz and on the Yellow Brick Road, where she runs into these three guys who are really all just based on real people in her life. So I think that's a more realistic interpretation of a dream, actually. Very good story too. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it. But anyway, and then along came Freud. Freud was, I'm sure most of you guys know who he was. He was a very famous 19th century physician, um, uh, and he gave the first sort of scientific interpretation of dreams, and he even wrote a book called The Interpretation of Dreams. And according to Freud, dreams were nothing but manifestations of our subconscious. He kind of reduced it to material science. And I don't completely agree with him. I mean, I don't really like Freud. Let me go back again. Yeah, um, my mom's a psychiatrist. She's a little bit of a Freudian, and I think Freudian psychology is kind of a crack. I mean, I just don't think it's real science. I mean, Freud came up with this theory in the 19th century, and it was supposed to be a scientific theory, but he just basically had his own ideas. And, I mean, in some ways he was right. He said that all of our behavior was reducible to our sexual urges, and a lot of it is. I don't think all of it is. And he thought, I guess he thought that we were conscious. Those are things we're aware of, and we have a subconscious in our brain. And I do believe in subconscious, but he didn't think there was any spiritual connection. I think that's where he got it wrong. He was his theory was completely devoid of spirituality. And I think that's where he went wrong. As a matter of fact, I think spirituality is the missing ingredient of psychology in the same way as friction was the missing ingredient of Aristotelian natural philosophy. I think it is real. Spirituality is real, and I think it's an important element of dreams. So I don't think Freud was right. But and here's another movie that has a really amazing dream sequence in it. This scene was actually the artwork for this scene was done by Salvador Dali, and this scene was featured in the Hitchcock movie Spellbound, which came out in 1945. I think it's a really excellent movie, but I think it's kind of based on Freudian psychology. I mean, this was from a dream that Ingrid Bergman, her character, had in the movie. I guess her doctor was trying to induce her to have a dream so she could remember this murder that or actually it was Gregory Peck. He was the one who had the dream. And so he was trying to get him to remember this murder he witnessed. And even Hitchcock said that the movie was kind of bogus. He didn't believe in the psychology that was portrayed in the movie. But I think the point of that movie was it was a little bit of a Freudian interpretation of dreams. It was supposed to be scientific. And anyway, so anyway, the guy I like better than Freud is this guy, Carl Jung. Carl Jung actually, he was very spiritual. And, he believed in the subconscious too, or the unconscious. He called it the collective unconscious. So, he didn't believe that our subconscious was just unique to us. He thought our subconscious was kind of shared with everybody else, which I think is a really interesting idea. And, it kind of, he thought it was a universal phenomenon. Maybe kind of the spiritual realm was where our subconscious lied. He also believed in these archetypes, which were kind of universal images that, different cultures have shared throughout history. I believe in that too. For a long time, I wondered why, the Europeans in the Middle Ages and the Asians, both came up with the mythological creature of the dragon. I mean, as far as I know, they never visited each other to exchange that information. And, I think it might have been a Jungian archetype that they both had in common. So, anyway, one last thing I want to say about dreams. I do believe in the multiverse. This is a very popular idea right now. The idea that there's not just one universe, that actually there's infinitely many universes, which we sometimes call parallel universes or alternate universes. And, there's four levels of the multiverse. I've talked about this in a different video. The level four multiverse is what Max Tegmark calls the set of all logically consistent mathematical structures, which in plain English means basically every world you can possibly imagine as long as it's logically consistent. And maybe dreams are windows into these. I kind of think they are. I mean, if Tegmark's right about his theory of the multiverse, then every dream we have, as long as it's logically consistent, I think most of us do have logically consistent dreams. I can't think of any dreams in which I've had any logical contradictions, and I'd be surprised if anybody else has. So if that's the case, then according to Tenmar, every dream we've ever had is actually taking place or took place or will take place in some other universe in the multiverse. And maybe I actually think that spirits are trying to communicate with us in dreams. And I kind of know this firsthand because I had some very, very powerful dreams in my life. Shortly after my grandfather died, my mom's father, I had a dream where I could have swear to God that he was communicating me with this dream. I think he even helped me get involved with my first girlfriend in Michigan, and I thank him for that because I don't know if or when I would have had a girlfriend if it weren't for him. I was kind of a loser with women, but he did help fix me up with my first girlfriend in Michigan, and I'm really grateful for that. And not only that, but my sister, she died in a car accident about 15 years ago. I was never really that close to her when she was alive, and I didn't even grieve for her that much after she died. But, I felt a lot of guilt after she died because I kind of estranged myself from her the last few years of her life. I never got along with her when she was, when we were kids, and I kind of figured I didn't really want her in my life anymore. But then after she died, nobody thought she was going to die so young. She was only 45, and she died in a terrible car accident. And the main feeling I had after she died was guilt. I didn't feel so much grief, but I felt a lot of guilt because I never made closure with her before she died. I think she was trying to reach out to me the last few years of her life, but she never really had that chance. But, an interesting thing happened after she died. For about a year, I must have had about 20 dreams about where she was in my dreams. And they were all very pleasant dreams. And each one of the dreams, we were doing something fun together. I don't remember most of them specifically, but I do remember one. And one of the dreams, one of the early ones, we were flying together on a space shuttle. And, it was a really great dream. And we even talked about that once when she was alive. And I think what happened, and it was weird because another thing about these dreams was that it didn't even occur to me when I was dreaming that she was really dead in real life. Not until I woke up. And I think what was going on, here's what I think was going on. I think that her spirit was communicating with me in these dreams in the same way that my grandfather's was when I was in college. I think she was trying to reach out to me. I think she put those dreams in my head as a way of getting closer to me and kind of making up for, how we didn't get along when we were kids. And I am grateful to her for that. I think, maybe she was trying to, do penance for some of her bad karma with me. Probably earned her some good karma being able to do that. That's what I think happened. I can't prove it, obviously. It's very non-scientific. But I think dreams are non-scientific anyway, because we don't know what they are. There's no scientific theory anybody's come up with that has been tested and is known for a fact to be an accurate theory of what dreams are. So until we know exactly what dreams are, we might as well, come up with our own idea of what they are. And my idea is that they involve a very, very strong spiritual connection. So, anyway, that's my talk on dreams. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.